Hillary Clinton held a long-awaited news conference earlier this morning. She answered 6 questions, most of them about Donald Trump, just one about her own policy. Bret Baier is here. Bret, right from the get-go, give me your response to Hillary's performance, please.
Well, first of all, Stuart, good morning. I think that the fact that Hillary Clinton did a news conference outside that plane tells you something, that the Clinton campaign was not entirely happy with the candidate forum. They would have probably let that sit there and let it be digested on cable channels around the country and news channels, but they wanted to get a different answer out on a number of questions. I think there were things that she said about having troops in Iraq and Syria that raised concerns about 0 ground troops, even though we have 4,500 in Iraq and 300 plus in Syria currently. There were things that she said about her emails that, raised some questions that have evolved dramatically from where she first talked about her emails. So I think they wanted to get different sound out there, and they did that. She has been loath to do these press conferences.
I want to play you some sound from last night, actually from Hillary this morning, about sending troops to the Middle East, which is what you were talking about just a moment ago. Roll that tape, please.
I think putting a big contingent of American ground troops on the ground in Iraq and Syria would not be in the best interest of the fight against ISIS and other terrorist groups. In fact, I think it would fulfill one of their dearest wishes, which is to drag the United States back into a ground war in that region. But Bret, don't we have, is it 6,000 guys and women with boots on the ground there already? That's a ground force, isn't it?
4,500 plus in Iraq, 300 plus special forces in Syria, and I think that was one of the things that they had to clean up today. Because last night her words said no more ground troops in Iraq or Syria. And you could call ground troops. She today tried to caveat it, saying massive numbers of combat troops, and that she was really for special operations forces and special forces and trainers and facilitators, all U.S. troops who happen to be on the ground.
How about her performance answering questions? I always think that Donald Trump does rapid fire. He answers one question after another, gives them 20 seconds apiece, and answers everything and anything the moment he has the opportunity. I think this was different with Hillary Clinton this morning. I counted only 6 questions. What do you make of the actual performance in her answers?
Yeah, I mean, she's careful. She is a careful. She's conceded that she's not the best campaigner. She is a careful answerer. She is studied and studying for the debates, September 26th, the first one. So you can see some of that play out. I think that it's a totally different style for Donald Trump, which is much more, as you mentioned, stream of consciousness, and sometimes that gets him in trouble.
It certainly does. Can I ask one last question about Gary Johnson's performance this morning? I'm sure you've seen it. He didn't know Aleppo or Aleppo or Aleppo. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. He appeared not to have ever heard of it before. Now, some in the media are saying that's just a total blunder. What say you?
Well, it is a blunder. He's trying to get to 15% to get in the debates. That's not a way to do it, to get people to convince that you can get over the commander-in-chief bar. If you don't know, this city in Syria that's been under attack and continues to be the focus of forces there. But more importantly is the issue of Syria, Stuart. And whether Gary Johnson knows where Aleppo is or not, really it brings up the issue of Syria and the fact that it's in a death spiral, and how Obama administration policy towards that perhaps affects Hillary Clinton in some way in this race.
And what would Gary Johnson do about it? That's a very interesting question. Bret Baier will be watching tonight, of course, at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Special Report. Thank you very much indeed, Bret. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Stuart.
Yes, sir.